I'll call the meeting to order. I'll apologize, I don't have much of a voice today. Call for approval of minutes from November 2025. Anyone want to make a motion?
Motion.
1 second.
You got enough positions? How many positions to go, right?
Yeah, we need 2 and we have 3.
You're a physician, you still a physician?
Yeah,
Still me too.
I'll second. Go for standing reports, program director.
As everybody knows, the conference is coming up in the end of February. Registrations are still coming in. We ask that you promote that within your agencies to ensure that we have an incredible turnout for this year. We think that the lineup is pretty good. The ALS airline class is, as registrations have followed expectations. So that's a strong thing for us. Thank you to all the agencies that are sending people and making sure that's a success. Aside from that, the iGel program for the state, just a reminder, each agency has to submit for approval to the state to be able to carry that through their POS providers. And then ultimately, once the applications are submitted, they come back here for approval by the local Remac. And I don't think there should be any opposition as long as the program's submitted in entirety. It's a very valuable skill and can help in potentially saving some of these lives. State meetings are coming up at the end of February. Ironically, like the 3 days before our conference. So it's going to leave things a little challenging for us, but we'll get by. So I think that's about it for right now. We've been pretty busy in the office just with CPR and making sure things are all helping moving forward with the conference. So.
Anything for medical CC?
I'll go ahead and just give a brief overview of the spring classes. We had 2 classes originally set to go. There were 8 students registered for Penn Yan. Unfortunately, first night of class, only 3 students showed up, so we ended up canceling the Penn Yan class and offering them the opportunity to go over to Stanley Hall Forum. Only 1 actually accepted that due to the nights of the class or travel time. The Stanley class has about 30 students. So that one should be a great class, and they're going to be utilizing the new electronic platform for ride time and skills assessment.
Move on to the medical director reports. For me, I attended the meeting remotely for last December. There wasn't really anything particular to note. A lot of discussion about the working groups for RSI and the blood implementation, but that's still kind of in the works. Should be open for public comment later this year. The big one's going to be actually this coming one for the protocol voting. There's a lot of discussion about various other things, but I don't think there's going to be one for Horizon. Anything on education?
I do not have a report from Scott.
Okay. Dr. Sarah?
Just, so with respect to quality, we're just stonewalled by getting actual data on real patient cases. I spoke to a few people, and there's an active discussion at the National Association of EMS Providers. They're going to come out with some stuff as well. Recently, a lot of med directors and regional and national med directors have been having similar problems with quality of information. And they're moving to a structure of gold standard recommendations and advisories. I think probably the most noticeable one for the EMS providers was WIG, the system, Durham, the Raleigh Durham system just recently went to no licensed sirens responses for EMS. I think they're down to 10%. So only certain cases they're responding. But talking to the medical directors, it looks like Remacs or similar type organizations are moving towards taking national standards and operationalizing them as advisory as to best practice. And that seems to be the way to go. So the big one right now that's being discussed is actually just the internal discussion, the use of licensed sirens and EMS response and what difference it makes. What they're not doing is telling agencies how to do EMS. What they are doing is saying, here's the evidence, here's what we see, here's what we recommend, and consider this as you build your own agency protocols. So we're maybe going to do a little bit of a veer towards that. There's some other standards that have been talked about. I think the other thing is we're still trying to get our heads around the new ACLS, PALS, and ATLS standards that came out in November last year, and what the implications are. It's very unclear, even to me, about endotracheal intubation, cardiac arrest, mechanical CPR in cardiac arrest, the use of epinephrine, which is becoming increasingly controversial. Some systems have moved away from using epi completely in cardiac arrest, which it's just because we did it that way all our life doesn't mean it's not the right or wrong thing. So also been talking to a working group of international physicians, because what we see now is the Europeans, the Australians, and the Americans have all gone different ways with resuscitation. So people are trying to get back together on the same page for EMS, so there's one consistent standard. So just working through that a little bit. I have a meeting scheduled, I think it's in a couple of weeks' time, to discuss that. So take a look at it and see how it goes.
Alright, I'll go over the investigations list. We have 3 over here. First one's Griffin, Austin, and Winthrop, New York, for violations of 800.3 AM and 821. Certification revoked effective January 16th of this year, and a civil penalty of $2,000. Next one is Roswell Sano from Buffalo, New York. Violations of Part 800.15 B1, suspended for 1 year effective January 8th, 26. Civil penalty of $2,000. Last one is Anthony DeLucia from Saginaw, Michigan. Violations of Part 800.3 AM, 800.3 AL, and 800.15 A2. Certification revoked effective November 19th of last year. Assessed a civil penalty of $8,000. Does it look like they have any old business to go over?
So the only thing that's under old business that I would just bring up is, at our last meeting, we asked for a working group to review the advisories. And I think there was a couple docs and a couple of providers And so far, I've gotten feedback from Dr. Shi. Still looking for more feedback on whether the advisories that are currently out, which ones we can sunset, which ones may still be relevant, and let's just clear it up. Because there's years and years of advisories that are so lingering. And I'm sure there's many that are not applicable anymore.
John, are those on the webpage?
Some of them are on the webpage, some of them are on the Google app. There's no real consistency for where they're located. If you're interested in reviewing them, I'm happy to share them with you.
Yeah, the general sense I got from looking through it is some of them are repeats, like reiterations of prior advisories. Some of them about the use of, like EMS, some of them regarding shortages. I think we can definitely sense on some of those. But feel free to give us anything, but we'll review all.
If you said,
Okay.
I just think the one place I can get them all. I don't even know which ones are still out there.
I'll send you everything I have, and then if they're
And then I'll
out there
find more.
somewhere, we can sunset them, and, yeah.
I'm probably responsible for a lot of them, so.
Well, Dr. Davidoff, believe it or not,
Davidoff
is
is-
responsible for probably 85%.
Okay.
All right, so for new business, we just talked about the advisories. Any other business
I
you
just-
want to discuss?
Just a new business from our standpoint. At Auburn Hospital, they just opened up an interventional cath lab, 24/7, 365. So it's full standing coverage. It's the head of the department is one of the former chiefs at Chapel Hill in North Carolina, and we've got interventionalists from Rochester Regional and also St. Joe's also staffing backup call. So it's not a diagnostic, it is an interventional, it is a study center. We opened it last week. We've already had a couple of stat studies that have gone through. It's looking like the door to balloon time is about 24 to 28 minutes. And they've done a bunch of diagnostics as well. So I'm not sure how that impacts other ambulance services. I would say that we watched the turnaround time for ambulances the time to triage and door to bed for EMS, and obviously a STEMI is going to just go right in anyway, but in general I think we'd be managing a time below 10 minutes for EMS arrival to bed assignment to put them in the bed. So, I mean, from my standpoint in Wayne County, operationally, that's a big boost to be able to turn around an ambulance quickly versus sitting in triage at upstate for God knows how long. So, the other nice thing is at Auburn, we have a quick turnaround time for patients, so we have beds available. We actually take transfers from all the other major hospitals when they're too busy and they don't have bed floor assignments. So it means that there's really no hoarding in the department. So just wanted to put it on the radar. Certainly for the east side of Wayne County, maybe some of the stuff east of Geneva, some of the Seneca County, certainly would be a cath lab option. So 24 hours a day. They use Pulsera is active there, and you can do the telemetry thing in as well. And they've set up. Really, the only thing that they don't have on site is cardiothoracic surgery. We'll be working with LifeNet and Auburn City Ambulance to set up a robust transfer service. That's what I got.
Great.
Where would those transfers go, or depends on?
These transfers are typically going to Strong or Rochester Regional. The the cath lab has a quality oversight agreement with Strong. It's very weird. It's oversight agreement with Strong. We're staffing it with RGH interventional cardiologists. I think Dr. Ahmed is that you may have come across. He's involved. And we have 5 other our Rochester Regional interventional cardiologists credentialed there. But we also have a couple of St. Joe's cardiologists credentialed as well. So my guess is when Ahmed's on, it's going to be more likely Rochester Regional. And when Kadura is on, it's going to be more likely St. Joe's. And but pretty much anyone's willing to take a cardiothoracic case, you know. So. But we have transfer agreements in place with all of them, so it's not like people are getting stranded there.
Sure, good.
Would it be ideal that they go to the closest facility first that's available? Or?
So the way that the recommendation and protocols are labeled are the key thing is time of onset of chest pain to time that the heart is reproduced. And that's always at community hospitals, that's been done one of 2 ways, with thrombolytics and or strat transfer to an interventional center. The way that the protocol's worded is just got to get that thing open, and going to a primary interventional STEMI center, which we are, is beneficial to patients. I think operationally there's benefits as well, but I just want a patient to get thrombolytics if they need it and get cath if they do. If it was me, I would prefer to have cath within half an hour than lytics, see if they work, and then get sent to another facility for a cath. That's just me. That's what they're doing. The recommendations are if you've got an ST elevation MI, go to the closest primary PTCA center. And previously in that area, it was St. Joe's, upstate, Krause to the east, and then Strong, RGH to the west. And if you were way far south, then one of the big hospitals.
CMC.
What's that?
CMC.
CMC, yeah, Tango Medical.
I guess the question is really like, if you're sending somebody out for lung cardiothoracic, closest center versus a relationship with oversight.
So the almost center went out. There's so much challenges with
a lot of that falls back on billing, right? Like when it comes back to like, is this center available closer? Why is it bypass for another center?
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about where Auburn is that we've been able to make the argument that we can go anywhere. We're just close enough to everyone and just far enough away to not differentiate, you know. So, but there have been no transfer issues with billing. Like, we've never had someone take time and say, you should have sent that person. And part of that is because of the arrangements we have formal transfer agreements with every hospital for specific conditions. So that smooths the interfacility transport. So for example, we have a head leak protocol that they're auto accepted by Strong before we don't even have to have a conversation, we'll just take them. Which is faster than getting on the phone to the transfer center at upstate and sending over CT scans and speaking to some dude and then speaking to their head coordinator and everything else. They just take them now. It must suck to be the ER doctor at Strong, but we learned that a long time ago. But because they just get these people, but you know, I think that's going to be the way that people are going is they have transfer agreements and no call transfers. So. But it is an option, and also for the ER directors, I know how tight it can be with beds and transfers, and so there's we're there if you need us. We've done a lot of cats.
Is your Physio LifeNet transfer still up? Because we tried setting it up so we can transmit straight from our monitors to you,
Yeah.
and it keeps erroring out, so we're not able to transmit. We can talk offline about that, but
Yeah, let me just, I don't know if this, all I know is that thing dings and it sends me to TG. It is the physio control system, so it's probably like the round peg didn't go in the square hole or something, so I don't know if you have to be pre-authorized for it or what, but they do use Pulsera.
yeah,
And we are using, and I was meant to tell you, we are using the pre-hospital activation, which is another reason why, like, in Wayne County, if you've got a 20-minute transfer time, the cath lab's going to be standing there. And the other thing that they're doing, they're being pretty aggressive just now. Like, I had a 58-year-old in cardiac arrest, and prior to our TMS arrival, the cath lab team was activated, and we're actually standing waiting to take the person to the cath lab if we were successfully resuscitated. And we don't have this, like, they're on call, we're paying them to be on call. So they're coming in, if they're at home, and a lot of them are just in-house anyway.
I was gonna say, I was talking before the meeting, we took a semi there yesterday, and we used Pulsera. Our crew tried to transmit as well via LifeNet, we weren't able to,
Yeah.
but that's been an issue on the software and for a couple of weeks.
No, I'll get into that. How did it go?
Fine, the team was air waiting, we had about 35-minute transport time because of the construction in Montezuma. But the CAT staff, they said it was a better or as smooth as they've had at any of the other CAT lab centers we transport to.
Good. That's what I want to hear, but I mean, it saved you driving along the road all the way to Syracuse.
What I was gonna say, I know our agency and the agencies, having that specialty care, that was the difference between my truck being out for 3 hours. That truck was back in service within an hour, well, a little over an hour. But in fairness, they probably got little Caesars on their way back too.
Well, thank you for trusting. I'll go and swing by that patient today and see how they.
Yeah, I appreciate an update.
All right, any other business?
Just one, going back to the iGel program, after our last meeting, San Leon Warren actually submitted an application through the state system. So I just want the formal adoption from the docs approving them to go ahead through the state system for usage.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, second.
John, just clarification for the ones that were in the trial initial, they don't have.
Only the providers that were trained and equipped back then can continue, but everybody is going to have to go through the process.
About agencies though,
Agencies as well.
so they have to send in, like, so for us, we have to send in. an
So
application.
you should, right, in the interim, the ones that were involved in the iGel program can continue. The caveat is the agency should now follow through and submit the packet so that you can now train everybody and anybody and be on the above the word side. Our next meeting is March 17th, St. Patty's Day. Is there
Call for meeting adjourned.
Motion.
I'll second. Thanks, everyone.